Hey guys, Coach Mike here from Bravous Esports, and in this video we're going to be looking at some beginner level competitive gameplay and analyzing it to see if we can learn anything from some of what these players do. These are players from our Bravous League, so they're in the kind of teenage to tween age range, so keep that in mind when you're watching them play. They're kind of just getting started playing competitive Smash, and so if you're kind of in that same boat, if you're thinking about going to tournaments, if you're playing a little bit online and you want to learn some more about some habits that beginner level players may have, some decisions that they might make, this is a good video to watch for that. So the main thing that we're going to be focusing on in this video is a habit that I noticed that a lot of new players have, and that's called being in attack mode all the time. So what is attack mode? It's when you're always moving towards your opponent, always trying to attack them, and you're throwing out attacks without necessarily reacting to what the opponent is doing. So one of the first big concepts to learn about in Smash Bros is the idea that you want to keep your gameplay unpredictable. This game is really well designed that no one thing that you can do is going to just always beat your opponent. And in that way, we can kind of break it down sort of like rock, paper, scissors. Some of you might have heard this analogy before, but the moves are obviously different than rock, paper, scissors in Smash. They are attack, shield, and grab. So shields will beat attacks. They just stop them from doing damage. Attacks usually beat out grabs because they have larger range than the grabs or can be faster than grabs. And then grabs will beat shields. You can't shield a grab. If someone grabs you while you're shielding, it'll just go right through it and you will be grabbed. But what a lot of people don't think about in their decision making when they're playing the game at a beginner level is that there's actually a fourth option. So what is the fourth option in this rock, paper, scissors game that makes it a little bit more complex and a little bit more interesting? That's running away. You have all of these movement options in Smash Bros. You don't always have to be moving towards your opponent. You can move away from them. You can jump. You can use the platforms to move on most of the stages anyway. So make sure that you're using that fourth option to your advantage. You don't always have to be moving towards your opponent. You can mix it up. So things to keep in mind as you're game planning for a match, as you're playing a match. Avoiding attacks is just as important in this game as attacking itself. If you're in a bad spot particularly, you don't want to be always asking, how am I going to attack here? Think about, how am I going to escape this bad spot? If you're off stage, if you're knocked down, if you're in the air, how am I going to get back to the ground? How am I going to get back to the stage, rather than how am I going to do damage right now? It's good to switch between a slow approach and a fast approach, and aggressive and passive approach, and that kind of falls into this idea in general of being unpredictable and mixing up your gameplay. So keep these things in mind when you're game planning for a match, and with that in mind, let's take a look at this game here. So we've got Lucina versus Piranha Plant here. And right off the bat, Piranha Plant is able to get Lucina up into the air in kind of a bad spot, so let's take a look at how that happened. So, both of these players already in attack mode, trying to hit each other with moves right off the bat. So we can see that Lucina goes for an up smash here, where Piranha Plant opts for a jab. And the reason that Piranha Plant is able to get this dash attack off here is because Lucina goes for a particularly slow move in up smash. It's one of Lucina's slowest moves, actually. So because Piranha Plant goes for the jab, which is usually a character's fastest move, he's able to move out of that quicker and then get this dash attack. And so Lucina is now up in the air, which is a bad spot to be in. Any spot where you have less options than your opponent is a spot where you're at what we call a disadvantage. So Lucina can't do any of her ground attacks. She can't do a smash attack or a tilt attack. She can't shield. She has to come back to the ground somehow because she only has one double jump and one up B to go upwards. So she's at a bit of a disadvantage, whereas Piranha Plant can pretty much do anything that he wants. And this is a really good spot for Piranha Plant in particular, because he's got some strong moves that hit above him, like up air, neutral B, up smash, up tilt even. So Piranha Plant going to be trying to use that to his advantage here, and let's see what happens as this game moves on. So Lucina double jumps there, but has to come back down, so gets hit by a spike ball. This time jumps a little bit later, but gets knocked down here. So being in what's called a knockdown like this is another disadvantageous position. So if you get hit with a move with enough knockback in this game, you're not just going to land on your feet when you come back down to the ground. You're going to be in this position where Lucina is kind of falling on her back here. And in this position, you only have a few options. You can roll to the left or right, you can get up in place, or you can do what's called a get up attack and kind of swing at your opponent while you're on the ground. So let's see what Lucina chooses to do here and what Piranha Plant does in response. So, Piranha Plant kind of preemptively goes for a dash attack here, and Lucina's invincibility from the neutral get-up gets right through that, but afterwards, she charges up this up smash here, which again is one of Lucina's slower moves, and she gets grabbed because of that in the startup of this up smash. So, Lucina actually could have done quite a lot of other moves here that would have beaten out this Piranha Plant jab, but because she is in attack mode, trying to go for this attack in a bad spot, she gets punished for that and gets grabbed. This is a spot where you want to try to get out of there, try to roll, try to spot dodge, or even do a faster move like a grab or a jab, or a tilt attack here. Going for a smash attack, really risky, and it gets punished by this grab here from Piranha Plant. So let's see what happens next. Again, Lucina immediately double jumps after getting hit, and this is kind of a habit that Piranha Plant's picking up on now. So let's take a look at that in a little bit of a slower motion here. So again, getting hit by the spike ball here. And Lucina kind of has a good idea here. She tries to swipe at this spike ball, but she misses, and actually, as opposed to some projectiles in this game, which you can hit and it'll cancel them out, the spike ball will just go through this forward air here. So, not a bad idea, but the execution was a little bit off since she missed, and then just not knowing that this move would go through is something that you'll kind of learn with experience. Not a bad idea, but gets hit with this spike ball either way. And again, recovering high, not necessarily the best thing, and we'll see that in this next segment here. The reason that this works is a couple of things. First of all, Lucina has invincibility on her up B, and then will also gain invincibility when she goes to the ledge, so she can threaten that and be a little bit safe there. The other thing to focus on here is that Piranha Plant, again in attack mode, charges up this forward smash without reacting to what Lucina is doing. The only thing that this forward smash would really cover is if Lucina made a pretty big mistake and just kind of landed on stage right in front of Piranha Plant. So not the best option to choose. You definitely want to keep your options open. And because he commits to this forward smash and then does another one again here, Lucina is just able to make it back to the stage and then gets this jab off. And let's see what happens from there. So Piranha Plant jumps away this time. Kind of a good instinct to avoid what Lucina's doing. Let's take a look at that again. Jumps away, and Lucina misses that attack. But Piranha Plant's off stage now. So let's take a look at this edge guard sequence in more detail. So gets the forward smash and is off stage. Again, Piranha Plant recovering high this time, and he uses his up B very early. So the reason you don't necessarily want to use your up B early like that is because you're going to be in free fall when you come back down to the ground. And that's the case for most characters. Piranha Plant is, of course, one of those characters, so he can't do anything after using this up B. He has to come back to the ground without being able to air dodge, without being able to attack, without being able to do really anything. But he gets away with it because Lucina charges up this neutral B attack early here, again, in attack mode, trying to throw out an attack without reacting to what the opponent is doing. If Lucina had waited on that and tried to follow Piranha Plant's trajectory a bit, she would have been able to get underneath Piranha Plant and hit him when he tries to land on this platform here. But because she committed to that aggressive option very early, she's not able to punish this kind of questionable recovery decision that Piranha Plant makes. So moving on from there, Lucina outranging Piranha Plant there with the forward tilt. Let's take another look at that. And then Piranha Plant is in a knockdown situation, so let's see what happens here now. So Piranha Plant rolls in, and again, going for an aggressive option out of the knockdown. Like I said, you probably want to do something a little bit more safe here, a little bit faster, go for a jab or a tilt, or just kind of roll to get out of that situation. But immediately swinging. And then Lucina does a drop shield forward smash, which is actually a pretty slow option out of shield. A neutral air out of shield would have been faster, but Piranha Plant gets caught in attack mode again, tries to grab, and because of that, Lucina is able to punish with this forward smash, which outranges the grab. So a perfect example there of attack beating grab. And then Piranha Plant ends up off stage one more time. This is the same interaction. Lucina commits to that early. And then she ends up off stage and again immediately double jumping and getting hit by that spike ball. Let's take a look at that one more time. So commits to that neutral B, so not able to cover the landing. And then double jumping early. And that ends that stock. So the takeaways here, again, being in attack mode is a habit that a lot of new players have. They think that they always have to be moving towards their opponent and trying to attack them. And a lot of times it is better to just kind of be patient, react to what your opponent is doing, and then act accordingly. So again, keep in mind, avoiding attacks is just as important as attacking. If you're in a bad spot, think how do I escape and not how am I going to land an attack here. Switch up your gameplay between being slow and fast, between being passive and aggressive, and above all else, the thing that you want to remember always when you're playing this game is be unpredictable, mix up your gameplay. There's no one thing you can do to beat your opponent. You have to, move away instead of trying to attack sometimes, grab instead of trying to attack sometimes, etc. So, until next time, this has been Coach Mike from Bravous, and we'll see you later.